Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something. Izzo.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Monday morning. We start with a thriller last night at Target Center. Game 4, Wolves-Spurs. And the way it started, not great. Wemby with an alley-oop. Spurs up early by 6. After a deflating Game 3 loss, Minnesota, though, punched back. End of the first quarter. Good to see Naz Reid have a pulse. He had more than that in this game. Drives and scores. Here we go with the play of the night. Wolves are up 2. Wemby rebounds, and then the people's elbow to Naz Reid, and it connects. There's no acting involved here, folks. That's right to the chops. Naz was okay. They reviewed it extensively, and Wembanyama was ejected from the game. More on that in a minute. After that, actually, the Spurs got life. Ant drives and scores, puts Minnesota up by 9, but De'Aaron Fox was... All the Spurs guards were great. Stephon Castle gets the putback. This 3 from Fox puts San Antonio up 8 in the fourth quarter. It's go time for Ant Edwards, and he was sensational last night. Drills a 3 here. Got the lead down to 6. It's a 2-point game. This 3, the place went nuts. Puts Minnesota up by 1. It's 199 Minnesota. Off the miss. Here comes San Antonio right down, and they score on the step through from Dylan Harper. Was great at 24 last night. So the Spurs are up 1. Watch the no-look feed from Naz to Rudy. And 1. Wolves go up by 2. Off the miss. Offensive rebound. The take from Ant. He scores. Minnesota's up by 4. It's 107-103. Over a minute to go. How about the drive from Ayo and the foul? At that point, you're thinking, all right, it's over. Except it's not, because Minnesota can't inbound the ball. DeSumo here in a world of trouble. Like you've never seen a double team before. They call timeout with 13 seconds to go. Again, McDaniels the pass. DeSumo, he kicks it to himself. And the Spurs have to foul. Watch again. It hits him off the calf. Luckily not the one he was injured. And Minnesota hangs on and somehow beats the Spurs 114-109 to even the series at 2 games apiece. San Antonio played a majority of this game without Victor Wembanyama, and yet Minnesota nearly blew it. Edwards was great with 36 last night, as he had to be. Naz Reid sensational as well. 15 points off the bench to even this series up at 2 games apiece. Afterwards, Ant was asked the inspiration for why he played so well last night.
In the fourth quarter, you guys were down 8. You scored 5 straight points. Did you just kind of feel the game slipping away, or kind of what was your mindset during that portion of the game to kind of reignite the team?
Today is Mother's Day, and so I just wanted to win for my mom, and it was just that simple.
Was she on your mind all day today? Or
For sure,
kind of, yeah.
for sure, yeah. I couldn't lose this game for her, for sure.
It's our guy Chris Hine asking the question there. If you read his book, you know certainly how big a factor his mom is in his life. So it is 2 games apiece. It has now become a best of 3. We'll have to update this here because now game number 5 comes up. That is tomorrow night back in San Antonio. How about this, folks? We got 7 o'clock starts here because the Knicks swept out the 76ers. So thank you, New York. We have no more late nights. So game 5 comes up tomorrow night, 7 o'clock in San Antonio. Game 6 will be Friday That depends on what happens with the Pistons and the Cavs, the time of that. If there's a Game 6 necessary there, that'll push the Spurs-Wolves game back a little bit later. But no, it's on Friday for game number 6. All right, now to what happened. The elbow heard around the world. We'll show it to you again. It happened in the second quarter last night on a rebound that Wembanyama and McDaniels and Nas are all there. And Wemby was, honestly, he was getting triple teamed. He was getting fouled probably on every play. So you can understand the frustration, but you still can't do that. And he's probably an inch away from maybe breaking Nas Reed's jaw. As it was, I think initially when people saw it, like, wow, they're probably going to give him a flagrant one and not eject him. Here's the thing that NBC knocked out of the park, that you get Wemby saying, what does that mean? And Harrison Barnes telling him he's been ejected from the game. Not sure people were thrilled that he was doing the clapping coming off the floor. As it was, again, it's a shot up high with intent, and that is the letter of the law. Credit the NBA for following actually their rules on what went down last night. Now, whether he plays tomorrow night, we will find out as the day progresses. I think a lot of us would be stunned if he does get suspended. I mean, that would be a series-shifting move if the NBA decides to suspend him for game number 5. Now, if it's a regular season game, maybe we're talking different. But as it is, it gave the Spurs, it seemed like, momentum, actually, after he was thrown out of the game, because the Wolves needed everything they could to come back and rally last night. So it is 2 games apiece, best of 3, with game number 5 coming up tomorrow. I mentioned the Knicks are already in the Eastern Conference Finals. They swept out Philadelphia, so they will await the winner of the series between the Pistons and the Cavs. And they're going to have some time off, New York, because that series is going to go at least to the middle of the week. And then the Thunder can join the Knicks in the conference finals if they're able to beat the Lakers tonight. And with that, we say good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hot Mic here on a Monday morning, the 11th of May, 2026. I am Dom Izzo, host of said show. Glad you're joining us. Hope everybody had a tremendous Mother's Day weekend. Certainly the weather cooperated for everybody to get out there and enjoy. And as we come back here on a Monday, certainly a lot to unpack from last night at Target Center. It was on just the edge of a knife for that to be 3-1, and we're talking a way different mindset here today. If San Antonio goes and rally, I mean, they're up 8. That De'Aaron Fox 3, it's 94-86. I think that's curtains now. It's donezo. They're not going to come back and win this game. And Edwards was great. Nas was fantastic. I'd like to still see a pulse from Julius Randle maybe and not turn the basketball over every time he has it. DeSumo was really good. Terrence Shannon Jr., not pictured in those highlights, with 2 deep threes that got the Wolves sparked after it went to an 8-point deficit. And now, here you go. You got best of 3. And like I said, we'll see what happens if Wembanyama's eligible to play tomorrow night or not. But you've got it now where you know at least you got one more game in your building after what had to be a really frustrating game 3. The Wolves fell behind. It was 16-1 by about 9 o'clock Friday night. I don't blame people if you didn't stay up to watch the end of that one, as the Wolves rallied and made it a game. But San Antonio, Wembanyama was awesome Friday night. And there's no answer to that. You just got to keep attacking is the best scenario there. So game 5 tomorrow in San Antonio. It was a weird energy last night, too, watching the game, because it seemed like the crowd was nervous until late in the fourth quarter. They finally were allowed to exhale and just cheer loudly, because when that Ant 3 that made it 98-97, that's when it felt like the roof blew off the place, and it was hopping after that. And they know they've got one more game in that building coming up later this week. A lot to get to today. Unpack a busy weekend. We'll do that down in South Fargo as well with the Fargo Force. Their season is going to be extended to the last possible game it can for this round after a couple of long nights at Shields Arena. We'll get to that in just a little bit. The Minnesota Twins are waking up this morning. They're still in last, but they did something this weekend they haven't done in 3 years. And more importantly, they did something that they could never do over the last couple of years. Win a one-run ball game against Cleveland. They did it on Saturday. Then they followed up yesterday with some help from the Guardians pitchers as they get a run to score and a wild pitch. Brooks Lee will deliver here in the top of the fifth with an RBI. That gives Minnesota a 2-1 lead. You play in the fifth inning. Later in the fifth, Royce Lewis delivers. Laces his one down the left field line to score. Brooks Lee makes it 3-1 in favor of the Twins. They broke this game open against Gavin Williams, the Cleveland starter, in the fifth. Austin Martin up after Josh Bell delivered. That one through the shift. That will allow Byron Buxton to score. It's 5-1 Twins. It got dicey, but the Twins bullpen, we got to give them a shout out. Gets the final out of the game. They win another one-run game. 5-4 the final after a one-run win on Saturday. It was a bullpen game yesterday. Andrew Morris got the start. Kendry Rojas went 3 1/3 of relief. Then Travis Adams, then Anthony Bonda, Garcia, and Gomez pitched the 8th and the 9th to give the Twins a series win in Cleveland. 18-23, break them up. But as you look at the standard, they're 2.5 games out of first. This division stinks. Let's just call it like it is. The Guardians lead it at 500. Then the White Sox. Then the Royals. Then the Tigers. And the Twins. I feel less hopeful about this team now. And last year, they're in the midst of winning 13 games in a row than I do this year. This is fool's gold here. It's, hey, great, the bullpen was better yesterday, and they got some clutch hitting when they needed to, but this doesn't feel like something that's going to last. Maybe if they can get some reliable bullpen help, as we talked about with Corey Provis on the show on Friday, that'd be nice going forward, but doesn't seem like that's something that'd be reliable moving forward. They're off today. Back home to start a homestand with the Marlins tomorrow. Then the Brewers come in over the weekend. That's be nice. Always good when Milwaukee is in town, especially for a weekend set. Then the Astros. This is a long homestand they've got here in the middle of May. Miami is actually, I want to say, in second in the National League East. The National League East is what it is because the Mets are bad. The Phillies already canned their manager. The Nationals we saw last week are what they are. And then the Marlins and the Braves are running away with it. But we'll see the Twins back tomorrow night with Bailey Ober pitching tomorrow. We got a lot to get to here on a busy Monday. Our guest lineup is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. We'll salute the best of the weekend as we do each and every Monday coming up in just a few minutes. Appreciate the nominations we got here. We'll do that at 9:20. At 9:35, Tom Wistrcill will join us to lead off our week. I'm really excited to have the commissioner of the Big Sky Conference join us. Tom has been a sitting member of the men's basketball committee for the last handful of years. And obviously the news that came down late last week of the expansion of the NCAA tournament to 76 teams. He has been a proponent, an outspoken proponent of expanding the tournament. Where I think it's not going to help the mid-majors, he would vehemently disagree with that. So we'll chat with him coming up at 9:35. Also talk some Big Sky football with him 9:35. We'll get his thoughts on what the FCS looks like now as well with North Dakota State on its way to the FBS. Kolpack will join us at 10 o'clock. Good to have Jeffrey back. He was on vacation last week. We'll get his thoughts on where NDSU stands now in the attempt to be eligible for postseason football. We'll chat some Bison golf with him. He always loves talking golf, so we'll do that at 10 o'clock. And then at 10:35, this is the week, folks. If you've been waiting for it, you an NFL Rube, the schedule will officially be out on Thursday night. But today starts the drip of schedule announcements. We've already had one. The first Sunday night game has been announced. It's the Cowboys and the Giants for like the 18th millionth year. We'll start piecing the puzzle together on that as the TV upfronts are this week. For those that are not on television, that means the networks go to advertisers this week in New York City and announce their projects for the upcoming year. And sports is now front and center for every network. Whether it's Fox, they have theirs today, NBC, CBS, and certainly Disney, they go tomorrow. So there'll be some prime college football matchups announced this week. There'll be certainly some big-time NFL games. I believe the international schedule goes tomorrow. The NFL Network gets that exclusive release. So if you're waiting on the phone, can't wait to see what the schedule is, because we already know the opponents. We just don't know the dates and the networks and when they're going to come out. That will happen. If you're wondering if any Bison television schedule announcement will come this week, I would say don't hold your breath on that. I think we have another 2 weeks probably before that comes out. But we'll be on top of that if anything does. But we'll dive into that at 10:35 on the NFL side of it, specifically for you Viking fans, to see if there's any games released yet. So that's coming up later on in the show. Busy week. Lot to get to today. This week, Summer League Track Championship is going in Fargo. We'll preview that coming up later in the week. So some fun guests as we start a new week here on the big show. We'll take our first break. We come back. We'll salute our best of the weekend, including a first-time trip for a Summit League team to the NCAA tournament. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com. Time for our best of the weekend. We do it each and every Monday at 9:20. Lots of good candidates to come in here to we have some music, guys. We can get that. Thank you. Because we had like 6 different emails. I had different nominees. First, I do this every spring, and it seems like it gets bigger every year. But the Fargo Force crowds are amazing. Hold up, before we start playing, I just want to shout this out, because every year, when I remember still anchoring the sports, like, we would go sparingly in the fall. After first of the year, I remember we would go more, and I was always impressed, like, come January, especially with the amount of basketball and wrestling that's happening, that crowds would always be really good. And then we get to the playoffs, and it would be amazing. You'd 3,500, 4,000. This weekend, well over 4,000 there. And the weather was great. Friday was a bit chilly, but still. And heck, if you were there Friday, you were there until Saturday morning. Now, I was at the previous longest game in Fargo Force history. That was Game 3, 2010 Clark Cup Final. They're playing Green Bay. The Force had won the first 2 games on the road. I'll never forget, like, holy cow, this is the 3rd year of the franchise, and they have a chance to win the Clark Cup at home. And it went 1 overtime. And I remember after the first overtime, got done doing the news, raced out to South Fargo okay, we got to make sure we're here. We got to have highlights of this, especially if they win it. First highlight, our overtime was done. Second overtime, play on. Third overtime, Green Bay scores, wins the game, comes back, wins Game 4. So the series goes back to Green Bay, and the Gamblers win Game 5 and win the Cup. That was the previous longest game in Fargo Force history until Friday night. Game 3. Series tied at a game apiece. We pick up the game. The Force are down 2-1 in the third period. I mean, dying seconds of the game until this goal ties the game at 2. Sends the place going crazy with 40 seconds remaining in regulation. A heck of a feed in front, little one-timer to tie it. So we play overtime. We play a second overtime. Imagine the game started just after 7 o'clock. Sioux Falls has a power play. So the Force are shorthanded. They have a chance on a shorthanded breakaway that gets denied. But watch Nathan Deladonna at the side of the net here after a rebound opportunity. Right place, right time, there to tip home the game winner at 11:42 p.m. Friday night. And at 5:17 of the third overtime, the Force win Game 3 to go up 2-1. And how about the crowd that stayed? Yeah, there were some empty seats, but looks like well over 2,000 were still there. Again, this is how you score in multiple overtimes. Sometimes it's not the prettiest of goals. Deladonna's in the right place, right time to tip it home to win the game. Sends everybody in delirium. And by the way, you got to come right back and play Game 4 Saturday night. And as it would happen, of course it would go to overtime. Sioux Falls, Thomas Zacco scores there on a power play. Wins the game. The Stampede had to win, or else the season is over. And of course, what ended up happening, they score. And we have a Game 5 coming up tomorrow night. For the fans that went to Shields Arena over the weekend, more power to you. You got more than you bargained for with your hockey. So Game 5 will be tomorrow night at the Premier Center in Sioux Falls in the Western Conference Finals. The winner of this will move on to play for the Clark Cup at the end of the week. But if you went to the game Friday, you almost got 2 full games worth. Combined, the goaltenders in the game Saturday combined for 99 saves. Awesome atmosphere. So we got a Game 5 coming up tomorrow night in Sioux Falls, which I guarantee you that will be rocking there to decide who goes on and plays. Muskegon, by the way, and Madison are playing tonight in Game 5 of the other series to determine who moves on there. So both the conference finals going the distance, but I will say just tip of the hat, not only to the players, but obviously to the fans that stuck around to watch the game on Friday night get done near midnight on the south side of town. Also happening this weekend, Bison baseball. It's been a rough year for Tyler Oaks' team. They are going to need some help. They're going to have to win 4 games against St. Thomas and get some help this weekend to make the Summit League baseball tournament. They were hosting Northern Colorado this weekend. They had 2 separate plays that, if you missed it, deserve to be on best of the weekend. We'll start Friday night's game. Remember how windy it was. Colton Becker patrols left field for the Bison. This is one of the better catches you will ever see. He went up and stole what would have been a 3-run home run for the Bears in the 7th inning. That is absolute robbery, especially with the wind swirling the way it was. Watch again. He goes up. This is over the fence. This is a home run, and he goes back and gets it. Haven't been a whole lot of highlights this year for the Bison. That is certainly one of them. Then Saturday, and again, it was certainly windy Saturday, Fargo's Tommy Simon had a tough year at the plate. Bases loaded, opposite field, gets the grand slam for his first career granny, broke the game open. The Bison would end up being every run against Northern Colorado to get the win on Saturday. But tip of the hat there to the Fargo kid who's had a tough year at the plate. He's made some great plays in the field. We televised their game a couple weeks ago against South Dakota State, and he was picking it at shortstop. But he's just been nipped at the plate where he's had just some bad luck happen to him. That reverse course, at least for one at bat on Saturday here with an Oppo grand slam. UNC end up winning the weekend set against the Bison, but those 2 plays were certainly top-notch in their series against Northern Colorado. They wrap up the season 4 games against St. Thomas. One of them is a makeup from a series that was supposed to be played up here because obviously of the weather they couldn't. So NDSU's basically got a sweep and then hope for some help to make it into the Summit League tournament. Lastly, speaking of the Summit League tournament, congratulations for the first time, the University of South Dakota will play in the NCAA tournament. The Coyotes stormed through. They had to play on Wednesday. Remember, the Bison played Wednesday. It seems like it was 8 years ago. They had to play Wednesday against Kansas City just to get to the double elimination part. They did that. They beat Omaha once already. But the Mavericks, the number 1 seed, came back. Omaha won the first game Saturday, setting up a winner-take-all on Saturday afternoon in Minneapolis to go to the NCAA tournament. It's a 1-1 game in the top of the second when Cameron Kirsten delivers an RBI single for the Coyotes. That gives USD a 2-1 lead. That was all the insurance that Madison Evans would need on the mound. She was sensational all weekend. 8 strikeouts in the winner-take-all game on Saturday against the best lineup in the Summit. Bottom of the 7th, 2 outs. The final out, a pop out on the infield in South Dakota. Congratulations to the Coyotes. They are going to the NCAA tournament for the first time. We found out last night they'll get number 1 seed Nebraska. It's a tough draw, but you know what? They don't care. They're in the field. Congratulations to Robert Wagner, head coach of the Coyotes. They're making it for the first time. It's great to see different teams get there. Omaha has made it. The Jackrabbits have been there. It's been a while since the Bison made it to the tournament. But USD is going, and they'll represent the Summit League. Double elimination NCAA tournament begins this weekend. Coyotes will be playing in Lincoln against the Huskers. That's our best of the weekend. We do it each and every Monday at 9:20. Good stuff there. We'll break. We come back. Again, the topic is the NCAA basketball tournament expansion. Why Tom Wistrcill thinks this is a good thing for the Summit League in the Big Sky. That's coming up when we come back. Off and rolling on a new week here on Hot Mic. Jeff Kolpack joined us about a half hour, as he always does. We've been hitting this pretty hard and heavy over the last few days, and our next guest has certainly been intimate with the NCAA basketball tournament and the expansion to go officially was announced late last week that starting next year, the men's and women's basketball tournaments will expand from 68 to 76 teams and will now consist of 12 opening round games on Tuesday and Wednesday. Tom Wistrcill, the commissioner of the Big Sky Conference, has been a member of the men's basketball tournament committee for the last handful of years. He's been intimately involved with this and thought there's no better to ask about it to start our week here on a Monday. It's great to see you. You're finally out of the submarine of this. Does it feel like you've been working on it for like 8-9 years?
I'll tell you what, Dom, this is finished my 4th year on the basketball committee, and it's essentially been a kind of a 2-year project for us on the committee. There's so many moving parts to this, and we were very cautious, and we recognize and believe that the NCAA basketball tournament's the 3 greatest weeks in sports, and we didn't want to do anything to damage that, and we take that very, very seriously in our discussions. So this wasn't made haphazardly. There was a lot of dots that we had to follow along, and a lot of T's to cross, and so like I said, we're happy with the decision, and now we'll wait to see how it plays out over time.
So immediately, Tom, I think of your league, I think of the league I cover in the Summit League. It's like this doesn't necessarily benefit. I don't see more teams, a second team getting in as an at-large berth. I know you have different thoughts of that, so please, can you hear your thoughts on why this is beneficial for mid-majors like your league and the Summit?
So there's 2 reasons why I believe it's good for the Summit and the Big Sky. One is the like opponent piece of that opening round. Most years, our champion is going to play someone like your champion. Let's say Idaho against North Dakota State in an opening round game. Let's just call City out Wichita on that Tuesday or Wednesday. It has been so difficult for our leagues to win a game in the tournament and get those financial units. I mean, it's been 20 plus years for the Big Sky. So, and I don't know how long it's been for the Summit League, but it's been a while. So my point is that we can play each other in that opening round game in a place like Wichita. One of us is going to get a unit. I mean, that's $3 million to the conference right now. That's a really big deal for our leagues. Then we can go play Wisconsin or Duke or whoever, insert 1, 2, 3 seed here in the next site. So that opportunity to play a like opponent and get a unit, I think, is a huge benefit. The second piece is when we did our studies, 20% of these additional bids, the additional 8 teams that get in, are going to non-Power 5. And I'm saying Power 5 because I'm including the Big East in with the P4.
Yep.
Is going. So that gives the opportunity, if one of our teams in our conferences goes on a hell of a run, and by that I mean winning big non-conference games, potentially sweeping the conference, and then losing the conference championship game or something like that, they could get an at-large bid. So it doesn't. No, I mean, I'm just being honest, right, Tom? I mean, most of these at-large bids are going to go to those P5 major programs. That's just the way it's going to work. But that 20% over 10 years, there's an opportunity for us. So those are the two reasons why. Plus, when you look at this, it changes Tuesday and Wednesday of the tournament. After that, it changes nothing. So, I mean, by Thursday morning, we have the 64 teams we've always had, and off we go. So it gives opportunities, and we'll wait and see how it plays out.
All right, I need you to explain for our viewers and listeners on the tournament units part of it. I've tried, but it's like hieroglyphics. So how does it break down, especially for a team that wins a game? What does that do for the overall league financially?
So the NCAA, because of the massive amount of revenue coming in from this contract, $1 billion from CBS and WBD, rewards basketball teams, and now has added it to the women's program for the first time as well this year. If you win a game in the NCAA basketball tournament, you get a unit, 1 unit. So if you're the Big Ten and you get 10 teams in, and half of them win a game and they keep winning and that sort of thing, you can see how the multiples of those units keep growing. We are typically a 1-bid league at the Big Sky, just like the Summit. So we're just trying to get 1 unit. We're just trying to win 1 game. And that 1 game is it pays out for a unit over $3 million for 6 years. So it's roughly $3.2 million. You space that out over 6 years, and it gets paid every year. So again, you can see how this accumulates if you keep winning, because if in year 2, if you win again, well, then you get the year 1 money and the year 2 money. If you win again in year 3, you keep accumulating that money. So the money can grow rapidly if you're fortunate enough to win, and then it's paid out every year for 6 years.
I'm interested the feedback from your coaches. What have you heard? And once this, I know you were out front and center on this. What was the feedback you got from your league on expansion?
My coaches were open to this. I think they recognize the fact that we've just not won a game in so long. Yeah. Let's try something different. We have just, when we've had a team that's been a really good team and won our championship, we've been able to sneak into like a 13 seed, barely, 14 seed mostly, and then some 15 seeds. We haven't even been able to get to a 12 seed where you feel like you have, okay, well, this is a game we can win. So our coaches are open to it. They're taking kind of a wait-and-see approach, and then, we'll see this year how it plays out.
I know you've also had upsets in your conference tournament where your number 1 seed is not advanced to even the championship game. Maybe they got beat early in the tournament. I'm not sure if it's frustrating. I guess what's the feeling on that as a commissioner? Like, all right, our best team isn't even getting a chance to advance to the tournament because they're getting beat early in the conference tournament.
Yeah, it shows the compression of our league. From the top to the bottom, it's just not real wide. We just have good basketball teams at the top and all the way through. Heck, Idaho was a 7 seed, I believe, this year and won the conference tournament. So and still got a 15 seed. So at least it shows that we've got some strength in the league. But boy, I would have loved to seen Idaho play the Summit League champion. Having been to Dayton and seeing what that opening round, Dayton does an awesome job. They pack that place. It's rocking. It's an incredible experience for those student athletes. So I think by and large, that's going to work out well for us. Yeah, you know what? At the other end, people are going to think this is a dumb idea because we're going to end up with like a 500 Auburn team like this year, who got in, who had some incredible wins but some awful losses. And did they deserve to get into this field? Absolutely not. Well, would that team get in next year? Yes, they would. And that's just going to happen every year, that we're going to have some teams on the bubble that look ugly. But selfishly, like I said, for the Big Sky and the Summit, I think there's a lot of positives here.
Any guesses on where that other site may be besides Dayton?
we've talked about kind of the central and mountain time zones.
Okay.
We have the Dayton East Coast one, because what happens is, let's take a team like ours, right? Idaho this past year. For them to have to fly to East time zone on a Tuesday and then head back out west, that just doesn't work. So the goal will be for us to have something in either the mountain or central time zone, and I think the NCAA has just started to look at sites that way.
The other news out of what your committee was talking with, and I know you're on the tournament committee, but the basketball committees are talking about going potentially to quarters, like the women's game. You in favor of that, of seeing the men's games be similar to what the pro game is like?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I can't believe that we're the only basketball that in the whole world that plays 2 20-minute halves. So let's go to quarters. And to me, there's reasons why. But the one exciting thing is that the end of quarter possessions are fun to watch.
Yes.
You got to coach them differently. You use your timeouts differently. It just provides some excitement, and so I'm all for it. I'm in favor of advancing the ball at the end, like the college women do as well. I'm not getting as much help on that in the discussion, but no, I'm absolutely in favor of quarters.
We always have to chat some football when you're on. I'm interested. One of the last times you were on was you announced that you were going to go to 9 games. You were the first in the FCS to do that with adding an extra conference game, and now that's come to fruition this fall. Describe the anticipation that for some that it's going to be right off the bat for your league, that week 1 is going to be a conference game for some opponents.
Yeah, because of the way our teams have scheduled non-conference-wise so far in the future, we decided for the first 3 years that everybody would play a conference game first week.
Yeah.
And so now we have an odd number, of course, so one team has a bye, but and then you play your 3 non-conference weeks and then back into conference for just these first 3 years. Then we'll get into a more traditional cadence. But it's provided a lot of excitement to people. It's it's like we have some new coaches who I've talked to about this as well. It's like, geez, Tom, man, I get thrown to the wolves right away. I was like, well, welcome to the Big Sky. Here we go. And, I'm excited about 9 games. I'm excited about Southern Utah and Utah Tech coming in. Great additions for our footprint and to be that dominant conference out west. And so it's, like I said, 9 games is a perfect fit for us. And the more teams we can play in the conference, the better we're going to be, because, we need as many Division I games as possible. Yes. To maximize our playoff opportunities. And whether that's playing FBS or FCS, we need that quality competition. And as you know, Dom, some teams will travel out west, some won't. We just, so we felt like this was best for us, and we're glad we did it.
I know the playoff committee made that almost an edict, Tom, a few months ago, saying, hey, we're going to value everyone playing Division I games. That's something, as a commissioner, you can flex some muscle and say, no scheduling D2s. We want as many teams in the playoffs. You got to play a D1 schedule.
Nobody pushed that harder than I did at the FCS level, Dom. And I just think that the FCS selection committee, and they've done a great job with it, has now come out and said, hey, you're going to be measured based upon your Division I opponents. And some conferences play less games than 12, and that's perfectly fine. They can do that. Yeah. They shouldn't get the benefit of playing less games.
Right.
And so I encourage every one of our teams. It's not a mandate in the Big Sky, because we end up in some scheduling quirks once in a while where teams have to play one non-D1, but it doesn't happen very often. And so now people know that, if you want one of 4 or 5 bids into the FCS playoffs, which we typically get, you have to win quality non-conference Division I games, and then you better have a good record in the conference in order to do that. So no, we talk about that a lot, and people recognize that's how you move forward.
I'm looking at a date on your schedule I think that people in Fargo will be interested on, which is September the 12th. Montana State is going to Nevada. Now with the Bison move to the Mountain West, there's already connections there because Jeff Choate was the coach at Montana State, now the coach at Nevada. How is that circled on your calendar as well? This is a potential where we can get an FCS over FBS win.
Well, you always hope so. Any time that we get an opportunity to play FBS opponents is really good for our league, especially the top of our league. to get those opportunities. And so, yeah, the scheduling worked out great for this, and Montana State's bringing back a lot of players from that championship team, and Coach Vegan's done an amazing job there. And like I said, for us, it's about our schools need to balance out. We need some money for those games, but it's also nice to put yourself in a position to win. Playing at Oregon on a Saturday is not always putting yourself in a good position. But I think it'll be a great game. I look forward to being there in Reno.
Your thoughts on North Dakota State's move and what that does for the FCS going forward?
Selfishly, I don't like it because I'm going to miss them and everything they stood for. They were the beacon that everybody aspired to get up to. If you could compete with them, you could win a national title. And so they raised the bar for everybody, especially the Big Sky. And so that's my selfish answer. Matt Larson's a good friend, and I'm really proud of him and what he's able to do there, and excited to watch the Bison. I obviously have been around that program and around the Upper Midwest for 30 years, and so I'm excited to see what they're going to be able to do. And I know all those years they had trouble getting teams to play them and that sort of thing. Well, now those teams have to play them because it's on the conference schedule. And so I'm really excited to see how they do. We will miss them in the FCS. Like I said, when one of the bell cows leaves, that's not great. But other teams will step up. And I think North Dakota has done a really nice job building a program up there that can compete nationally. And so, like I said, I look forward to watching them from afar and cheering for them. And we get a game next year in Vegas.
Yeah.
So that'll be exciting. So we still got one more left there.
I am interested. This is the big TV rollout week for you guys. You've had a great relationship with ESPN. We anticipating some more primetime, maybe non-traditional Saturday games in 2026.
Yeah, I think we'll certainly increase that package there of some Friday night games and late night Saturday night games. And it's always fun to hear from my friends in the Midwest and the East that they got back from their last cocktail of the night and flipping on the Big Sky. They're sending me pictures of the screen at midnight Eastern or Central Time. But we're very fortunate to have a great package with ESPN. Get to showcase the high quality football that we have, and our time zones make that a attractive spot for us. Some of the West Coast FBS teams don't love to play those late night Saturday games, and I'm always like, sign us up, and it's great branding for the Big Sky. And like I said, it represents the top of FCS, and we're proud to do that.
Well, and I'll throw this in your basketball deal as well to get your basketball tournaments on when you have. How big of a boon has that been?
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate. Again, the time zone helps, but I think people also appreciate the fact that, when there's a state name in the school, people pay attention, right? So when Idaho's playing Montana, that's a big deal. Whether it's football or men's basketball or the women's championship, to have those on national TV, that's incredible exposure for us.
It's great to catch up, bud. Have a great summer, and we'll do this soon when we get closer to football season, all right?
Sounds great, Dom. You enjoy as well. Thank you.
There he goes. Tom Wistrcill joining us, commissioner of the Big Sky, with some insight on the expansion of the NCAA basketball tournaments. He was in the room and I think monetarily wise, it makes a lot of sense. And for his league, it certainly does. They haven't won a game in a long time in the tournament. The Summit League, it's been Oral Roberts is the last one to win it. That's now 5 years ago since ORU won when they made their run to the Sweet 16. We'll break. We come back. We'll put a bow on hour one. Jeff Kolpack coming up in hour two, and the drip of the television schedules are starting to come out. Hour one of Hot Mic wraps right after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour. Our thanks to Tom Wistrcill for giving us a few minutes. We will have Sam Herder later this week. We just couldn't coordinate today. Wistrcill had a specific window. Sam wasn't available later, so we'll get Sam on later. We are still coordinating as well what we're going to do FCS-wise coverage. I know we're going to have some major Mountain West coverage as we go into late summer and the fall, but we're not giving up on our FCS stuff. That's just not how we're going to roll around here, and we'll announce those plans when it is appropriate moving forward. Let's do a couple emails here. Dama, one of those who do not support the expansion of the basketball tournaments. Expansion has turned into a participation trophy tourney. That's very similar to what Dave Richmond said. If you missed our conversation with Dave, we played that back on Friday, so you can go back and podcast that now. Dave was awesome. I'll just say that. He was a little untethered, unchained with the season being done. His thoughts are, he said he didn't love it, and I don't think he's alone on the what the initial thoughts have been on that, since now it's been out since Thursday afternoon that it became public that it was going to go to 76. And I understand what Wistrcill's thoughts are on why he was in favor of it. I just don't see it as, okay, those 16 seeds playing one another. If it's one from his league and one from the Summit, they're going to play at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday in Wichita or in Dayton. Who's watching that? Outside of the fans that support those programs, you're not getting a massive TV audience. I know it's not the end-all, be-all. They want the win. The league wants to say, hey, we have an NCAA basketball tournament win. The coaches want to say, hey, we have a tournament win on our resume that has not been there in over 2 decades. That gives you a contract extension. That's able to get you another job. I totally understand that. That's selfish, and they're wanting that. And I don't fault them for that one iota. It's just it's not a huge financial windfall for the NCAA either. They're not getting billions of dollars to add 12 more games to the tournament. That's not what's happening here. I think it's modest at $30 million is what I saw the numbers on it. So it's not like it's some astronomical number that's going to come from Warner Brothers and CBS, who televised the basketball tournament, and ESPN on the women's side, that they're going to get that much more money. It's just that's not factual. So, and this comes in light of what college football is right now proposing, because they want to go to 24. They want to double what they have right now. And that argument is never going away. I'm sure that's going to only explode now as we're now into May. I'd say buckle up. May, June, and July, that college football playoff discussion ain't going anywhere for the foreseeable future. Like when we get to Mountain West Media Days in the middle of July, buckle up on how that's going to be front and center for every conference commissioner that's going to speak at a particular media day going forward. It's just going to be nonstop. You have to expect that. Let's break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. Jeff Kolpack on deck. We'll get Kolpack's thoughts on where Bison football stands on its proposal to be immediately eligible. Plenty of other Bison topics we'll hit with Jeffrey when we start hour 2 on a Monday morning. It's coming up after this.
Works of WDAY. Here's Don Izzo. It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2. Forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4! I should have yelled 2.
All right, here he is, everybody. Jeff Kolpack. His appearances are brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Looking at the opening there, are we going to need Dr. J this fall?
Well, to introduce to the Mountain West audiences, you might have to.
Well, will the team have some occasional struggle at the FBS level? Is Dr. J...
Hard to tell. I don't know. You brought him out. Didn't you bring him out last year or a couple years ago?
A couple years ago.
Yeah. I don't know if we need to. You might need some new material here. It's a new league, new material, right? How did Mother's Day, by the way, go? Ruby get spoiled yesterday?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep. Courtney?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Jack Mann actually made something at school, like a coaster. It was fantastic. He drew everything on it. I was like, he's already got more artistic talent than I do, which is hard to do. But
so my 3 are obviously a little older.
Yes.
A little older than yours. And there's several years ago where I go, you dudes, you people need to step it up here. This is Mother's Day.
Well, not messed around. We had the flowers taken care of.
This isn't Wives' Day.
No,
it's Mother's Day.
We had the flowers taken care of. We took Mom out for breakfast, the whole 9 yards.
And they have, by the way.
That's good.
Yep.
We didn't see you last week, so we got a lot to unpack. Let's start first because we talked on Friday. You and I were both, I think, waiting either by the phone or some sort of press release was going to come out Thursday afternoon from the Oversight Committee that, hey, what's going to happen? It got to about 5 o'clock, and we were texting one another like, nothing's happened yet.
Yeah, I was like refreshing every 5 minutes everything I could think of on the old intranet. And, we're navigating this as we go. And it's like the Division I decision in 2003, 2004, that there's something around the corner that you just don't know.
Yeah.
And I didn't know the oversight. I thought they had more voting power.
Evidently not.
Evidently not. But it's influential body.
Yes. So what I found out is basically we're watching how like a bill becomes a law. If you remember taking that in school, and like this is actually what's happening.
Yeah.
This is actually what we're happening in real time here because NDSU and Sacramento State basically they introduced a bill. It got approved, like, say, by the House, and now it's got to go to the Senate.
Right.
And if it gets signed off there, the president would sign it, and then it becomes
Can you
a
still
law.
sing that song?
I can. Believe me, I definitely cannot. But that's basically the equivalent here. The Oversight Committee, from what we were told, introduced it. They signed off on it. Now it's on to the next step, which is the cabinet.
Its stamp of approval.
Yes.
Now it goes to Division I cabinet, which we believe would be the final.
So here's the interesting part on that. Two things. From what we have gathered, most often than not, once it gets to the cabinet, if the committees are saying we like this, very rarely does the cabinet go the other way on it.
Correct.
Here's the intriguing part. You wrote about this. Matt Larson is a member of the cabinet, but he's representing the Summit League. The Summit League doesn't sponsor football, so he doesn't have a vote on this. But can he be in the room? That part I don't know. Like, remember he's had to leave the room for the FCS playoff committee stuff?
I would guess not, just as a matter of transparency, I suppose.
Right. But that's awfully interesting. Like, there's his school, and again, it's going to be talked about, and he either can't vote on it or can't even be around it when it's discussed.
There's got to be some matter of influence, though, that he has with this fellow. The cabinet, I believe, is made up of 20 members.
Yes.
And so they talk, I think, pretty regularly.
And here's the interesting part. From what I found out, the power conferences have weighted votes. And from what I'm told, the SEC, the Big Ten, they're on board with this. So if you got that, then it's
well, they
looking
should
good.
be. I mean, if I'm Matt Larson and you have a Division I cabinet meeting or whatever, you might want to throw in the fact that, by the way, we did write a big check.
Right. And also, it's not going to cost them anything financially for them to be postseason eligible for this. It's not going to cost 1 red cent on that. So, to me, again, I thought this is – I love the thought of, hey, we're not going to do the appeal. We're going to create our own updated rule for this, and we'll see. We'll know by the end of next month.
So, since I last appeared on your esteemed show here, it came out that your buddy Brett McMurphy is really high on the Bison.
Yeah, how about that?
And you got to believe, and I thought about this before this happened, when he came out and said they're going to be favored in every game.
Oh.
You know Jason Eck sitting there in Albuquerque is like Mark Farley was at Northern Iowa in 2008. Like, all right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I don't think he's alone. I think all the league schools, the Bison are going to see all of them this year.
Well, I know.
They're going to see them all. I would.
But I think specifically because Eck has such direct ties from the South Dakota State days that he's not going to want to show. He's going to want to show him who's boss. Just like Farley was in 2008. I mean, there was steam and venom coming out of his eyes, even after the game when they won. He was still torqued off.
Yeah, and that had been 3.5 months of sitting on it because the preseason poll came out in July, and the Bison played in October of that year.
At least they probably won't be favored with UNLV being pretty good.
I would not think so. I don't think they'll be favored at New Mexico either. I mean, those are going to be tough games. At Hawaii will be another one. I mean, that's late in the year, but that's still nearly from what Craig Bowl told us when he was here last month, that's
But is your
really hard place
buddy
to win.
McMurphy, now that you guys are so tight, is he just like doing this, throwing stuff to get some attention?
Totally.
I mean, really, the rationale
that
is not there,
article
in my
last week was totally to, hey, let's just throw some chum in the water and get people to click.
100%.
Do I believe that? He thinks that? I don't think so. He also wrote in there that he doesn't know if Notre Dame's going to opt out of a bowl game. If you read that, like he's taking shots at Notre Dame after what they did this past year. So I don't know. In his heart of hearts, I don't know if he honestly believes that.
I got to believe he doesn't.
Because I saw another CBS put one out, a bowl projection, and this was more reasonable. This had North Dakota State in the Armed Forces Bowl in Fort Worth, Texas, playing James Madison.
You know, this has all the validity of your bracketology
Come on, man.
In September.
Hey, this is what we have to adapt to. Bracketology is donezo for us. We got to get on bowl stuff now. You got to hope you.
Well,
I'm telling you.
It's still the same thing. It's a prediction of the bowl stuff. How in the heck can you figure out that they're going to be in the Armed Forces Bowl?
Here's the part.
Totally. The wall.
But here's the fun part about it.
You're part of all this.
See, think about it, though.
Think about facts.
But think about where the game is. The game's in Dallas in January, and they're playing James Madison. I mean, hello? You think Bison fans would be all right with that? We've done that before. Come on. I'll be all right with that. Sign me up. The Puerto Rico Bowl just got announced,
by the way. Is it in Jerry World, or where is that?
That's at TCU Stadium.
Okay.
So, which is, I think, 45,000. That'd be A-okay if the Bison were to be selected. My point was that's more reasonable, like of an 8-4, like you think, or maybe 7-5 of a team not 12-0 and going to the college football playoff in their first year of potential eligibility. They're not even eligible yet. We don't even know that. That's not even going to be a thing.
Well, they're not even FBS yet.
They are not. July 1 is the official date on that. They're not done adding players. We found out over the weekend the Bison have added a transfer running back. Nioti Puni transferred in from Holy Cross. He was here this weekend. Him and his mom took a visit. And he will be transferring in. He's got 2 years of eligibility, 6'1". He is a track standout. He actually was recruited out of high school in New Hampshire to run track at Holy Cross, which he did, and then decided to take his wares and play football. So that's why he has, as a grad transfer, he still has 2 years of eligibility because he only played a couple years of football. This move was necessitated, Jeff, because Braylon Tolliver, the outstanding freshman, we saw, we were there, tore his ACL in that final practice and is out for the season. So this is the guy they're envisioning maybe as being potentially RB3 when camp begins in July.
Couple questions.
Good.
Okay, 6'2", 220, is that correct?
About that, yeah.
And he advertises that he runs a 4.38 40-yard dash, which is Bryce Lance kind of fast.
Bryce Lance ran 4.34.
I guess my question is, why was he the backup?
At Holy Cross?
Yes.
That's the question I'm asking him today. So I'm visiting with him after Hot Mic today. So I will ask him exactly. I think relatively, he's played a couple. He can go.
Oh, look at that. He beat the angle on those guys.
That's the Bucknell Bison he's running against. It's not against South Dakota State, but he's got some get up to him. So, but I am curious as that. Like, if he was that fast, why did he not play more? Because I think at this time of year, when you're looking at players, like if they're available, there's got to be something up. Because the guys that, and frankly, what I was told, he had to wait to graduate. That's why he couldn't transfer in and be here for spring football.
He's got 2 years.
He had to graduate, which he's doing. I think he's taking his last final today is what he told me. So, but that's question up there. But again, when you're looking at depth at running back, I don't know how much Tolliver was going to play. He looked good in the time we saw him out there, the true freshman who graduated early from Colorado. Right, all of 18 years old that just got here.
This guy looks like a man.
He's played college football before. So that's your tier of running backs right now would be DJ Scott, Miles Mitchell's clearly at the 2. I think Puni would be in there at 3. Then you've got maybe Barry Penu, who had some good run during I think Cortez LeGrand is in there as well. We only got to see a little bit of run out of him last year. Maybe Charles Ross, the young man out of Kansas City. That's probably the backs right now, and then this guy would find his way into it. That's the spot that Polisic is. You look at it now, Jeff, 2 of their top 3 guys are transfers. I don't know what that tells you about the state of how they've recruited that spot over the last handful of years.
Well, maybe.
And losing Marty Brown, obviously, is a huge blow.
Marty Brown would have still been here, but I mean, this guy looks like, to me, I think if NDSU is going to succeed getting back to our original conversation and have a good year, they're going to have to get that power game running, the power game going, and that's how you control the ball. That's how you keep other offenses who are pretty good in the Mount West off the field. This guy looks like the quintessential power running back.
What he told me over the weekend said, I love the Bison offensive line, love that the running backs are able to get loose there, and I'm looking forward to have a chance to run behind them. So I don't think they're done either. I think there's still another potential offensive player. Wide receiver, I've been told from a couple sources, they may add another one, which, again, you can say whatever you will about that means with the status of the current group, but Polsak's looking for playmakers. That's the thing on offense. And that's, I think, goes to what your prediction is at, is if this was the 2025 Bison heading into the Mountain West, feel a heck of a lot different about the playmakers they had on offense.
Right, because when the portal first started, NDSU was an FCS school, and it's harder to attract guys, obviously, to an FCS school than if you put the letter B instead of C in there.
Yeah, just what kind of players are out there? Because you always tell me, like, they're transferring for a reason.
Yep.
And that's always something I think for fans to, before starting to get too excited about seeing the tape and all that, there is a reason out there for why they're moving. Let's break. We come back. Here's a subject we haven't talked a heck of a lot about, but it's right up your wheelhouse. The Bison golf team, because their season is not done, and they didn't play a single round of golf around here. We'll chat about that with Jeff Kolpack. We come back on Hot Mic on this Monday morning right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Is a Kolpack tweet from yesterday. Getting a rare look at Live Golf Tour on TV. Everything about it is JV. The production, the playing, care factor, sparse crowds, except the money for the players, of course. I bring that up because a story from our friends at Alpha Announcing it's right up your alley here, Kolpack, because yesterday, John Rahm recorded an albatross. And for those that don't know, that is a double eagle. That's the rarest of golf shots, right? Apparently, it was not shown on television.
I'm not. Everything about it, I'm watching this going, is this like not? I mean, it just looks so mundane. It just nothing was good about it.
So apparently here, Rahm carded an albatross on the par 5 17th yesterday, but the shot was never shown on the Fox Sports broadcast of the event, nor was it available to view on the Live Golf website at the time of this writing. A subsequent search conducted by Alpha Announcing found neither a replay nor a mention of the albatross on the Live broadcast. That is, first off, you're not serving your viewers at all. You still have to mention it. It's like, people know it's 2026.
Yeah.
You're going to, if you don't mention it, doesn't mean it didn't happen.
So
you know
maybe
what I mean?
JV was complimentary.
I think so.
Of this production.
Holy cow.
The players, there just wasn't any intensity. I just never felt like, okay, this is, getting down to it. It's coming down to the last round, and boy, they're duking it out and fighting it out. There's Sergio Garcia chunking it into the rough and then chunking it out. And I'm,
So
I got my 20, 30, 50, 60 million.
So apparently we need somebody with a cell phone to have got the video of Rahm getting this. Is the only way we're going to see it.
We had better video stuff of cell phones of the Bison winning the Summit League.
Yeah.
At least some key shots.
No doubt about it. Speaking of which, I know you had this on your show this past weekend. The Bison golf season will continue next week. They're going back to Arizona, down to Tucson. Do you know that course that they're going to?
Never heard of it.
So they will play in the regional starting next week.
Marana? Is it
Yes,
Marana?
they got to finish in the top 5, which they're in with Oklahoma State, the reigning champs.
Defending champs.
LSU is there. Alabama is there. I mean, they're in with some heavyweights. But the fact of the matter is, Jeff, they did this without playing a single round of competitive golf outside around here this year.
They got some swings in, I think, in talking to Jake Scarperud on my golf show last weekend. So they got some swings in, but that's about it. But but they do travel well.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bison have invested in their golf programs. I think they've got some endowments going there too. They've invested in it, so they do travel well. And it's not like they're playing in Des Moines
No, they made a decision to go to California, to go to Arizona, to go some really tough courses. Steve Kennedy, I know, did that at the end of his tenure, and Dr. Eckram Miller has continued that they're going to some really tough courses, which obviously paid out here.
But it's still different. I mean, and especially the first couple after the winter.
Right.
Your winter workouts here in the indoor. You can only do so many 100-yard shots in the indoor football facility. Eventually, you're going to have to...
You got to let it rip.
You got to let it rip, yeah. And, I guess you can do a lot of simulators, which, by the way, they will do simulator golf before they leave on this course because they have the simulator situation in their indoor...
Nice.
I believe it's at the Shack up floor. And so they can put I think it's a Marana Country Club or Marana Golf and Country Club. They can throw that on. And does it do any good? Well, it's more mental. Okay, now you have an idea what you're seeing.
Right.
I mean, it's not like you're physically going to figure out the undulation and that makes a difference. The biggest deal is when you get there, that practice round, you got to make it count.
Yeah.
Because when they got to Longbow Golf Club, and they played it before, and NDSU, I think, has a very good familiarity with Longbow because that's where the Summit Tournament now has been for a while, and I think the players make an effort when they're down there to play it. And so they have an idea that, how to play
it goes,
it.
Yeah.
And so the Marana, at least they'll get an idea, and it's more mental than anything, but that's how you have to make it work as a northern program.
It's awfully impressive to see. In fact, they had 3 guys in the top 10. 2 of them are freshmen. Bodes well for the future. I mean, Petrie and Scarproot are on their way out, but man, the guys coming up look like they can play.
And the way they finished in the last 2 holes.
Yeah.
They had 2 eagles and 4 birdies.
Yeah, that's a way to end
the last 2 holes.
That's a way to put a stamp on a championship.
One was
Petrie had like a 60,
Blue hit it from 135.
Yeah. And Petrie had like a 65-footer that he drained. Jake actually is going to be on our show tomorrow. Scarper will be about 10:30 tomorrow here in studio.
And give it up to 2 Fargo players being part of this program.
Gabe Benson
and
as well.
They're mostly a northern roster.
Yep.
Carter White's from right down the road in Staples.
Yep.
Petrie's from Fertile Beltrami.
Yep.
And you got Davies and Shanley golfers, which goes to show that the golf in this area of the world has gotten a lot better. And you got to credit there, too, to the Dakota Junior Golf Association.
Yep.
What that program has done, I think.
Totally. That started almost, I think they got their ball rolling. Chris Geist got that going. Basically, COVID hit. That became big, huge around here.
And Chris just said, I'm going to make this work, and he's growing it.
Totally.
And now you're playing competitive tournament golf much more than they ever did.
Yes. Email comes in. Jeff, I saw your tweet over the weekend. The Bison now making concerted efforts to recruit. This is a football question. In Las Vegas and Arizona now because they are out there.
Loco was down in the Vegas area.
Yes.
Then he went down to the Maricopa County, which is Phoenix area. And so why not?
New recruiting area. It's new league. That's where the players are that they're going to. Now, remember when they made a concerted effort, you remember Arizona, 10, 15 years ago, that did not work out.
No.
The only player they actually got, Jordan Champion, might be the one guy that stayed
That's a good one.
around here.
Yep.
But after that, it was a failed experiment. So this is really interesting. They're going to go back.
South Dakota State's done well with Phoenix players.
Yes. I know they made an effort they're going to camp out in Las Vegas, and from what I hear, there's some players there. So that's going to be interesting to see the first player they get out of Las Vegas to come in Fargo. Might not be in the not too distant future on that.
But you also can't extend yourself too much. I mean,
no,
they're still down in the Frisco, Dallas area. I think they're back in Florida.
They absolutely are still in Florida.
Yep.
And you got to hit that area. That Tampa area has been too plentiful to them that they cannot ignore that. And then they obviously got to take care of. I mean, the Twin Cities, they're killing it, and Wisconsin, they certainly have done that.
Mm-hmm.
That the thing I keep getting brought up to me by listeners and viewers of the show is here, and I would say their own backyard because of the 27 guys. It looks like maybe none of them, which I predicted that. I didn't think any of them were going to be here. But again, look at the schools. Like the Moorhead guys are going to the Big Ten. The Baco kid is going to go play, obviously, at the Big Ten. The kid from Stanley is going to the Big 12.
I think
what are you going to do?
Odds are you're going to get maybe 1 or 2 back on the flip side.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, the odds of all those North Dakota players being very successful at that level, I mean, that's pretty tough.
Totally agree on that.
Pretty hard.
Yep. And, well, I will say, though, the more recent ones, like for the Gopher guys, you look at Riley Sunram, Carter Menz, they're playing and producing for Fleck right now. So maybe it's turning. We'll see. I think what your point is, and I agree with, it's harder than not to get there and make an impact, which I don't think any doors have been closed either by the staff here to say, hey, if it doesn't work, we would take it back with open arms.
You shouldn't.
Right. Correct.
Hey,
totally.
Congrats on taking the Power 4 offer.
Absolutely.
Here's my, you know where to find us if things don't exactly go to plan.
Absolutely. You know my number on that. Last thing, and I appreciate you writing this story as well because I love covering it. It sounds like the Fargo Marathon is going to go back a little bit to its roots on the start and finish.
They're making strides. I mean, So they're going to start and end in the parking lot, I believe, of the Dome.
For this upcoming year.
And then next year, the plan is to go back in the Dome.
Okay.
Now, in talking to the interim, Dan Lakin's name is, we'll see, because they said the right things. Dan said the right things, but I'm still nervous and apprehensive about the company Gannett that owns Ventures Endurance, that owns the Fargo Marathon. Gannett is notorious
slasher
for taking newspapers, slashing them, ripping them, shredding them up, and they end up being nothing because it's all about going to the corporate money vault.
Yeah.
So I'm a little apprehensive, if you will, that, I mean, again, he said all the right things.
Right.
This is the pacing group. This is how, everything's going to be taken care of as far as security along the route. And this is this, so
right.
I guess the proof's in the pudding.
We have to wait and see if that actually comes to fruition on that.
I may not be covering it this year for the first time because the youngest is running it.
Oh, that's
first
right.
Marathon. So I was down in Arizona doing his 20-mile run.
How's he getting ready for that?
Well, yeah, so he did his long run last weekend, his 20-miler, and I followed along on a bike that I got from a friend of mine down there. It's harder to bike at 5 miles an hour than it is at 18, I'll tell you that. But he finished the last 2-3 miles were around, it got to be about 85. We started like at 5:30 in the morning. It was like 85.
Yeah.
He goes, wow. I go, here's the deal. If it's 85 in Fargo, they'll shut her down, so you're not going to worry about it.
That's exactly. I mean, we've been out there where we've had like layers on, and you remember one year. I mean, we were shedding
sleeting, snowing,
but we were shedding by the 10 o'clock. We were losing layers like left and right.
Well, there's one time when I got off the Pace little ATV thing, I couldn't feel my feet; they were so cold. you hop off, and you're like, oh,
see
feet.
But now that it's moved later in the calendar, that's not necessarily the case.
There's a little danger there of a really getting it because it has gotten hot and the humidity is worse.
Because last year it was the end of May and it was warm that last weekend. I mean, we've had some times where that last week in May, it's 100 degrees. We've had it a couple years back. I can remember that for all the tournaments we were dealing with 100 degrees. So that's nothing to mess around with. But that's awesome for Brent. That's cool.
Yeah, I haven't gotten the okay from the boss yet. I don't know if he knows yet.
It's out there now.
I have to work.
It's into the ether now. Thanks for coming by, bud. Always good to see you. There he is. Jeff Kolpack joins us each and every Monday at 10. His appearances are sponsored by Northwestern Mutual. We'll break. We come back. The dripping of schedules is out. We'll give you a little details on the NFL stuff starting to come out. That's coming up when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Final half hour here on a busy Monday. Tomorrow, as we mentioned, Shanley's alum, NDSU standout golfer Jake Scarper will be here in studio, chat about the Bison Summit League Golf Championship and getting ready for the NCAA Regionals that begin a week from today in Arizona. We got a couple emails let's get to here from our last segment. This is a constant one. I appreciate John emailing. John emails, Don, will WDAY still telecast the Bison non-Mountain West games? Sorry if I missed your answer last week. You didn't miss it. The answer is we don't know. I can tell you likely not. We're hopeful that maybe we get a game or two. That's the extent of what I can tell you right now. And I'm not trying to be coy. I'm not trying to be, hey, we're going to sit. No, that literally we don't know. The national television schedule for the Mountain West will be released 2 Thursdays from now. So what is that? The 28th is when... and this works in perfectly for the segment we're about to do, that day, May 28th, will be the day, and it'll be like 11 o'clock or noon. I don't know why they do this, but this is how it's been over the last at least handful of years, 5 years or so, that the networks and the conferences will announce, hey, here's our first 3 weeks of games. And you'll get what the SEC and the Big Ten and the Big 12 and the ACC are doing. And for the group of 6 schools, like the Mountain West, they'll put out their national television package, which will involve the CW network, Fox, and CBS. Like we found out on Friday, Fox announced its Friday night schedule, and the Mountain West Championship game was part of that. It's going to be on December the 4th, 8 o'clock on Fox at a campus site. That's the first. Now the next part of it will be the networks. They won't give you times, but likely the dates, and there probably are going to be some moving, maybe to a Friday. And then once that comes out, then the games that aren't selected for national broadcast are able to be picked up by a local affiliate, local network like us to say, hey, we would really like to do game X, game Y. And that's where we're at. So I appreciate the emails, and all of them that have come in over the last handful of months since this has become official. As of now, we don't know. We're hopeful, but we do not know. Another email. Dom, any athletic director that would swallow a first-round 16-16 tournament win versus another mid-major as a persuasive reason for a contract extension needs to have their school president channel their inner Lee Corso, tap the AD on the shoulder, and say, not so fast, my friend. Probably, but coaches are always out for, hey, write that into my contract. I get an extra $50,000 for an NCAA tournament appearance, extra $100,000 for an NCAA tournament win. Now, maybe in the small print, they can have does not count if it's $50,000 if it's opening round win, something like that. But you can guarantee those are probably happening in new league or new contracts being written as we speak. Back to the schedule part. So I know for many, this week, if you're an NFL fan, is one of the highlight weeks of the year because the schedule will be out Thursday night. We had the announcement about the announcement of the schedule. Only NFL can get away with this. Thursday night, the NFL schedule will come out. But the part that I know irritates some, for me, I'm kind of 50-50 on it, is the next 4 days will be filled with announcements from networks. There's already been a couple already this morning. And then the perpetual dripping or leaking of information of other games between now and when the actual schedule comes out at 6 o'clock Thursday night. And here's the rub. We already know the schedule. We already know, for the Minnesota Vikings, we already know exactly who they're playing. We already know there's 6 division games already, right? We know the Vikes are playing 2 games with the Lions, 2 games with the Packers, and 2 games with the Bears. We also know the rest of their opponents. This is a year where the Vikings have more home games than away games. So we already know they're hosting the Bears, the Lions, and the Packers. Atlanta is coming. Carolina is coming. The Bills, Dolphins, Colts, and Commanders will be at U.S. Bank Stadium. The Vikings will play on the road outside of their 3 divisional opponents, the Patriots, the Saints, the Jets, the Buccaneers, and the 49ers. That's the thing. We already know. We just don't know the dates. And that's the huge appeal of what the next 4 days are going to bring to everyone. Now, we've already had 2 announcements made this morning on where we're at with the upcoming schedule. Now, as we talked about late last week, we already know the season opening game will be a Wednesday night. Seattle is hosting that game as the Super Bowl champions. Why you say they're playing on Wednesday? Because the NFL is going to Australia this coming year. The Rams and the 49ers will play in Australia on Thursday night. That's a 7:35 Central kickoff, and the game will be on Netflix. We know that is done. We know that. We also now found out this morning that Sunday Night Football debut will be Dallas and the Giants, 7:20 on NBC. We know that is confirmed. Also, trickling of information come out. Week 3, the Ravens and the Cowboys will play in Rio. That'll be at 3:25 on Sunday, September the 27th. We know that. And we know the Saints are going to play in Paris on October the 25th. We don't know against who. Now, the Vikings are one of the teams that plays at the Saints. So that could be Minnesota goes to Paris. But remember, the Vikes already played 2 games overseas last year when they played in Dublin and they played in London. That likely the Vikes are probably out of the overseas rotation for this year. You also saw on that graphic news that came out today, reported by the Sports Business Journal's Austin Karp. And this is important because if you read anything over the last couple weeks of how the president has been on his kick on talking on having sports be more available or more affordable, and he came out and said you got to pay $1,000 to watch NFL games, which is another lie that he says. I don't know where he's getting that information from. But Austin Karp reported this morning that Fox is going to get 2 more standalone games. He reports the NFL now expected to have even more games on broadcast TV in 2026 than it did in 2025. That, I don't know if that's direct pressure from what the president and the FCC saying, hey, we want less football on streaming, or this is just how it worked out. Because we remember YouTube was in the discussion to get a couple more games, and then it went away. And now it looks like Fox is going to get it. It says Fox has been going hard after more of these available games and gets 2 more standalone windows. We don't know what those are yet. It could be the Thanksgiving Eve game that's coming this year. There's another Wednesday game coming. We've heard there's a potential another Black Friday game coming. That would be earlier. That would be like around noon, because right now the Black Friday game kicks at like 3, if I remember right. So those would be new windows. And when I say new windows, it means broadcast times that haven't already been established. Like we know noon and 3:30 are games on Sunday. 7:20 on Sunday night and 7:15 on Monday night. We know those are when the games are played. We also know that Black Friday has a game at 3. We know, there's 3 games on Thanksgiving Day. We know there's 2 games on Christmas Day. This year being on a Friday, you anticipate there's probably going to be a 3rd. So they're always trying to create new days, and apparently Fox is going to have the rights to them. Karp adds, looking like a shutout coming for YouTube, barring a late development. Things changed quickly at the end. YouTube was the leader to get some games, then Netflix stepped up to get those primetime games. Netflix told Roger Goodell they didn't want Sunday mornings. So that's the latest there on the potential. I think for a lot of viewers of this program, they'll be happy to know that the games are going to be on quote-unquote regular TV. But we'll wait and see what the drip of games comes out here over the next little bit. There'll be more. As I mentioned, the upfronts are happening as we speak. There'll be a couple of college football games that will come out of this as well that we'll share once we know. Because that now, honestly, live sports has become such a popular and profitable entity to have. If you have the NFL, you are in the ballgame, right? If you're Fox, who desperately wants to keep the NFC package, CBS has the AFC, NBC certainly wants to keep Sunday Night Football. It's the most watched regular sporting event every week. ESPN is paying through the nose, so they finally have a Super Bowl this year for Monday Night Football. Amazon is paying an extreme amount to have Thursday night. Then you're in the game. And if you don't have it, it's like being out of the party. Now that Netflix is in with the Christmas Day games, and now they're going to add another one with this opening game in Australia. That's how you get in. And the NFL, knowing full well they want to go to 18 games in the not-too-distant future, maybe as early as next year, 2027, there's going to be more inventory for games. We're talking about that with the NCAA basketball tournament. And this is the era we're in now in sports, whether it's professional or college, is that more is better. It's greed is good. That's where we're at right now. Sorry, Ben, I didn't hear you. This is where we're at right now with what is happening. I'm talking. Give me a second, man. On what we're at in terms of. Oh, that's my train of thought. All right, what's on the capture computer? Sorry. Fox CEO Lachlan Murdoch said today that Fox has picked up 2 more NFL regular season games, including the game in Munich, Germany, allowing Fox to have the first ever NFL broadcast triple header. Oh, all right. Well, there you go. There's one of them. Although they said they didn't want to be involved in the morning, so I don't know. This guy, I don't necessarily trust this guy's more of an aggregator than a reporter, so we'll wait to see on that, but we'll see. Pro Football Talk reporting as well. Fox acquires 2 more national games, including the November 15th contest in Germany to be hosted by the Lions. That's from Pro Football Talk. So there you go. Munich getting a game. That'll be on Fox, which would mean then you'd have a game at, 8:30, then at noon, then at 3:30. They do the same thing in the Big Ten when they try to dominate the week there. So there you have it. We'll see. But the point on this is that now adding, the College Football Playoff wants to add. NCAA Tournament's adding. NFL's adding. Why? Because people at networks are paying through the nose for live sports. That's where it's at right now. And why the number is going to be astronomical when we find out what Fox paid for those. Crazy. All right, we'll take our final break. We come back. We'll put a bow on things, get you ready. We got hockey tonight. Well, Wild will try even up their series with Colorado. We'll preview that and say goodbye. Hot Mike wraps on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a Monday. Tomorrow, mentioned Jake Scarper will be here from the NDSU golf team. Wednesday, Stevie Keller, NDSU track coach, will join us. Big week for them. The Summit League Track Championships begin on Thursday up on the north side. That is always a huge event, and the Bison will be heavily favored to win on the men's and the women's side. So he'll join us on the show coming up on Wednesday. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to tonight. We got Game 4, Avalanche and the Wild tonight in downtown St. Paul. Saturday night, Minnesota rolled Colorado. Got their starting goaltender pulled out of the game. Kirill Kaprizov was sensational in that game and getting Minnesota the win and back in the series. Now we see what happens tonight. Looks like Joel Eriksson again will not play for Minnesota. He was not available. He did not skate during the optional skate this morning. He has been out, obviously, since the end of the series with Dallas. Have to think Colorado's going to counter here. The first 10 minutes of this game are really going to be interesting. If the Avalanche do what they have and come out and they win, this series is done. It goes back to Denver for Game 5 on Wednesday, and that'll be curtains for Minnesota. You're not going to come back. I just don't. The best team in the league losing 3 straight games doesn't seem likely. But if Minnesota's able to get tonight, much like we saw the Wolves do last night, then let's have a conversation. Then it's best of 3, and somehow you got to find a way to win in Denver. After the craziness of Game 1 last Sunday, and then they got dominated in Game 2. Wallstead was back and was really good. I was not a fan of him getting pulled, despite the fact whatever happened in Game 1. But now you've got a chance to really make this a series if you're able to win tonight. Carolina, if you missed it on Saturday, the Hurricanes, led by Jackson Blake, son of former Moorhead Spud great Jason Blake, beat Philadelphia in overtime. So Carolina has not lost a game yet. The Hurricanes swept Ottawa in the first round. They just swept in the second round of Philadelphia. So the Hurricanes are in the conference final. They're awaiting the winner of the Canadiens and the Sabres. Montreal won last night at home over Buffalo. They're up 2-1 in that series. The other series in the West, Anaheim beat Vegas 4-3. So the Ducks are tied at 2 games apiece, with that series going back to Sin City tomorrow night for game number 5. That's been a highly entertaining series, but the winner of that will be a decided underdog against whoever wins against Colorado or Minnesota. That's just the way, how the standings bore out. You could see in the Pacific Division, those 2 teams were well below where Colorado, Minnesota, even Dallas was when the season finished. So we'll see what happens on that. With that, let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. All right, we got a beautiful night for softball tonight. You can catch it here on WDAY Extra. Davies and Central Cass. Coverage begins at 4:30 here on WDAY Extra between the Eagles and the Squirrels. Also tonight, as I mentioned, we got game number 4, Avalanche of the Wild, 7 o'clock on ESPN for that one. We'll see if Colorado can go up 3-1, or does Minnesota tie this series up at 2 games apiece. Game 4 tonight, in Los Angeles between the Thunder and the Lakers, 9:30 on Amazon Prime. Lakers have to win. If not, the Thunder will have 2 straight sweeps. And moving on to the Western Conference Finals, and some good baseball tonight. The Giants aren't great, but the Dodgers are. 9 o'clock on the MLB Network tonight if you need some baseball with the Twins having the day off. Our thanks to our guests today, to Tom Wistrcill and to Jeff Kolpack. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Thanks so much for starting your week with us, everybody. Have a great Monday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.